All right, we're on example 3, fraction busters. Now, I do something different than other teachers. I don't think I know any teacher that does it my way. If you don't want to do it my way, just try to get back to your old notes, but this is how I teach it, okay? So first thing, I know they teach you to have to multiply doing fraction busters. It's actually the same thing as finding a common denominator, okay? Because it looks like fractions to me, all right? So when I see 10, 5, 2, okay, I want to find a common denominator. So I'm thinking of a number that 10, 5, and 2 can convert into like a fraction. So therefore, that's called a common denominator. And then I think about it and go, oh, 10. 5 can turn into a 10, and 2 can turn into 10 by multiplying by 5. 10 is already a 10, so leave that alone. So I'm going to multiply this by 5. And remember, fractions, you got to multiply the same thing on top also. Multiply that by 2 times 2. All right? Now, when I do that, I'm going to teach you guys a quick trick. Okay? If something that has the same fraction, for example, okay, so you don't need to write this part down, just watch, okay? So if something has the same fraction, same denominator, I'm sorry, okay, then you don't need the denominator. Just like what we did with the exponent. You get to say, oh, x has to be 2 because what over 5 is the same thing as 2 over 5, that has to be 2. So if something has a common denominator, you don't need a denominator when you're solving for x, okay? So that's the method that I use, and a little bit easier. Now, this turns into 10, that turns into 10. So again, like I said earlier, if they have a common denominator, you don't actually need to write down a denominator if you're solving. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cancel this out. Rewrite only the numerator, 3 plus, that gives me 4x, that gives me 5. And I'm just gonna go ahead and solve. Subtract 3, 4x is equal to 2. Divide by 4, can't divide, but I know 2/4 is the same thing as a half. All right, so that's how I normally solve and do fraction busters, okay? Now let's try it again. So the rule of fraction buster is just like anything else, okay? You gotta make sure for my method, you gotta make sure everything has a fraction. So this is part of the x already, all right? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and think of a common denominator would be 6. So I'm gonna take, okay, I'm gonna multiply this by 6 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Then I'm gonna take my pencil again. Now they all become 6. I don't need that anymore. I'm gonna rewrite the top. So that gives me 15x minus 2 is equal to, that gives me 18, so 78. I'm gonna go ahead and add 2 to both sides. 15x is equal to 80. All right, divide by 15. Can't divide evenly, that's okay. You can always use a calculator to check, to reduce. 80 divided by 5, that gives me 16. Oops, sorry. So divide by 5 gives me 16 over 3. All right, next problem, number 3. All right, so same thing. I'm just gonna find a common denominator, and it looks like this has an x. So I'm gonna have 8x, okay? So I'm gonna make every one of these 8x. So this one, for this one to turn into 8x, I'm just multiply by x. This one, to get this one to 8x, I'm gonna multiply this one by 8x. Okay, you gotta multiply the same thing on top, just like a normal fraction. This one by 8 by 8. Okay, so now they turn into 8x. 8x, 8x, 8x. Cancel. So that gives me 40 minus 16x is equal to negative 11x. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this side here, 16x, add 16x. Again, there's variables on both sides. You gotta remove, you don't want the variables on one side. Okay, so 40 is equal to 5x. Divide by 5. That will give me 8 is equal to x. All right, and that's how I do fraction busters. If you feel like doing the other way, that's fine too. Okay. Moving on to example 4. And example 4 is we're gonna solve by square rooting or square both sides, all right? So when you see something like this, okay, you gotta get rid of the root, and you have to do the opposite of root, which is a square. So again, the opposite of a square root is a square, and the opposite of square is a square root. Okay, so I'm going to square both sides. The square and the square root cancels out, and you're left with just x plus 3. That gives me 36. That's a simple problem. After that, subtract 3. X is equal to 33. And this is one of the easy ones to check your answer. You plug in 33 in there, and you can see it's the correct answer. All right, so let's go and move on to number 2. So this one's the same thing, okay? Just don't square yet until there's only a square root on one side. So you gotta make sure there's only a square root on one side. You can't have another number that's not there. So let's remove that first. Trust me, your life will be 1,000 times easier if that's the case, okay? Equal to 6 again. Now there's only a square root, then you could square both sides. That would give me 2x is equal to another 36. Divide by 2. X is equal to 18. All right, let's move on to number 3. Now this one has the complete opposite. It has a square instead, okay? So what I need to do, since there's a square, and I'm gonna square root, and keep in mind though, anytime when you square root something, when you're solving, you need to put something called a plus minus. I'm gonna show you that in a second, okay? The reason why is because there could be possible of 2 answers, all right? So I'm gonna square root both sides. Again, you only can square root both sides when there's only a square left. If there's something there, you gotta move it over, okay? So again, the square and the square root cancels out, you get x plus 12. And this one, again, you could square root it, that's fine, but you have to put a plus minus there. That means there's 2 numbers. There is a positive 3 and negative 3. The reason why is because when you square a 3, it's the same thing as squaring a negative 3. You actually get the same answer. All right, so then therefore there could be 2 different numbers to give you the same number as 9 and 9, as you can see that. So then therefore this one could be both numbers, okay? So but now I'm gonna subtract 12 to both sides. Now when you subtract 12 to both sides, you gotta look at one number at a time. So I'm gonna look at the positive 3 first. Positive 3 minus 12 gives you negative 9, comma. And now I'm gonna treat this as a negative 3 minus 12 gives me a negative 15. And as you can check your answer, you're gonna get 9. One of them is gonna give you 3, and the other one will give you negative 3. So therefore, that's why there's 2 possible answers, okay? All right, last one. So again, don't square root yet until you get rid of that number, okay? There's only has to be a square left, whether it's a square like this or a square like this. Then you could square root both sides, okay? So let's get rid of that 6 first. I'm gonna subtract 6 to both sides. That one cancel. X squared is equal to, this one give me 25. Square root both sides, you get x is equal to, again, 2 numbers now. That gives me a positive and a negative, let's see here, plus minus 5. There you go. All right, and that's my answer for example for number 4. If you have any questions, go ahead and email me. Please take notes. Please show your work. Definitely need to show your work for today's assignment to get any credit at all. All right, thank you guys. You have a great day.